Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Playing World of Tanks. I'm AJ, and today we'll be looking at a game that I had in my OA experimental, which is the Japanese Tier 5 Heavy Tank. And this is perhaps one of the most hilarious games I've ever played in World of Tanks. Now, why is this game so hilarious, you might ask? Well, first of all, this is actually my first game in the OA experimental. Second of all, the crew that's in this tank is only 75% because I'm too cheap to pay the 1200 or 1400 gold that is required to get a 100% trained crew. Now lastly, why this game is so hilarious is because of the result that I get in this tank, and spoiler alert, it is kind of amazing, and that is why this tank is so broken at tier 5. Now the stats of this tank aren't bad if you want to put a tier 6 in the game, but it's at tier 5 and it plays like a tier 6 most of the time. First thing of note is that its armor isn't that great. It's fairly average, 75 in the front, 70 in the side. So most of the time you are gonna get pinned by tier 5 tanks. But where this tank becomes OP is that it has a gun that hits for 300 alpha. Now the old KV-1S in the game back in the day used to hit for 390, had a 10-second-ish reload, and had 175 pin. And that's why Wargaming took it out, was because it was one-shotting a lot of things at lower tiers. The gun was just too good to be at tier 6. So they completely removed it, put the KV-85, gave it a gun that can hit for 390, but made the reload much worse and the gun stats on it as well. Now, doing all of that, bear in mind, then they introduced the Japanese heavy tanks. And on this crew with 75% crew skill, I was reloading for roughly like 9.6 seconds. Now the gun's pen isn't that great, like it hits for 300, but it's 130 and 150 with standard and premium rounds. But keep in mind the logic of why you're running KV-1S and then introducing a tank at a lower tier that can two-shot most of the tanks at its own tier, which is insane. It's just insane. There's no other way of putting it. Now, having said all of this, I'm not playing this game really well. I'm just throwing my tank at whatever comes in front and letting my guns just, do the damage. I'm actually not playing carefully at all just because it's my first game. I don't know what the tank's capable of. I'm trying to see what it can and cannot bounce. So in case I run into it again, I kind of like know, okay, I can't bounce this or that. I should be more careful. And I've still accumulated 5 kills already without doing much. And this total is just going to go up as the game goes on. Shout out to our T14 on our team, because he kind of realized at this point that I could not take more damage and he had to lead the charge. Most people will not understand that. They will just sit there and wait for you to kind of push forward just because they don't want to lose hit points, or they think, oh, there's another tank who can take damage, why should I be the first one to go in and take damage? But somebody has to do it. So without that T14, I honestly could not have gotten this game as it is. So shout outs to him definitely for taking the initiative and moving forward. And I'm just going to be in reserve from this point onwards and just try to support him to the best of my abilities. At this point, there's 2 tanks that I'm kind of threatened with. One is the KB1, which I know is not anywhere close to my tank. And the other one is the T67, who obviously knows what he's doing. He retreated as soon as this flank fell. And I'm hoping that he doesn't get the jump on me, because I'm definitely gonna get destroyed before I have a chance to do something about it. Now at this point, I'm kind of actually saved because the T-34 decides to switch targets and focus the T-14 instead of me. He could have easily killed me because he actually pinned me with his first shot, but he decides for some reason that T-14 was the priority target, probably because the T-67 on their team was also firing at the T-14 at this point. Now with the T-34 taken out, more of our comrades join in the party that is going to the enemy's base. But it's not without its drawbacks. Most of us are in pretty low health, and the T-67 has really good DPM. he can just basically out DPM almost all of us if he decides to. And the other thing is, I already might derp one of them in the process, so not looking as rosy as I would like it to be. Now I come around the corner and I'm trying to see if I have a shot on the tier 5 French arty without presenting most of my tank. And to my dismay, I don't actually have any shots, so by the time I get around the corner, the 3 tanks that had gone around the corner actually have died to the T-67, effectively making it a 2 versus 1 in this situation, which is extremely bad for me, just because all the artillery has to do on the enemy team is spot me and make sure that he goes in the moment the T-67 drives in to kill me. But the T-67 gets extremely unlucky. I'm perfectly angled towards him when he comes up behind me, and my lightning reflexes save me as well, because the moment I see something pop up on the minimap, I instantly turn my turret around, and I know I don't have time, so I snapshot him, and the arty fails horribly, missing me completely, and I circle him in an OI experimental and take him out as well. Now, the enemy arty could have played that a lot differently. He should have just come over the top and tried to derp me instead of like taking a better route around to get a shot on me. Basically, if the both of them had actually coordinated that attack, I should have been dead in the process. But somehow, miraculously, I survived. Now, the last couple of seconds literally gave me a heart attack and probably shortened my life by maybe 5 or 6 years. But the greedy part of me thinks, oh yeah, you know, there's this medal that I only had once. It's called the Pooled medal. And maybe the KB1's actually coming back. Maybe the KB1 actually saw what was going on in base and decided, you know what, I'm going to turn around and actually deal with that OI experimental. And so I'm looking down Ice Road, and guess who's coming up the Ice Road? It is our good friend, the KB1, who gets taken out by a premium AP round. This gives me my Pools medal, and only my second Pools medal in the game. The other Pools medal that I have is on my 113, which is, for those of you who don't know, is the Chinese tier 10 heavy tank. So hopefully I entertained you guys for today. Feel free to like and subscribe and stick around for the channel, because I definitely need a shower after this game. And I'll see you on the next episode of Playing World of Tanks.